I'll say a couple things. One, we are obviously going through an incredibly bleak moment, right? But I sometimes think we are ungenerous to ourselves when we think about why we're going through this moment. We're not just going through this because of Orange Mussolini.
Hashtag.
We are actually trying to do something incredibly hard right now on a like 50-year, 100-year scale that I think, I mean, maybe there's some very old, I don't think any superpower has basically ever done in history, which is to become a country without a majority. To become, I mean, America's on track to basically become this like subset of humanity, right? Like people from humanity cherry-picked into one country with, I know that it feels very hard to imagine that right now when white nationalism runs this country and we're separating kids on the border and women are being degraded from the highest office in the land every day. But I also think we have to be mindful of the bigger arc of history. Like all that stuff is happening, the bad stuff, because we're actually on this quite inexorable path that is terrifying to a lot of people. And we are trying to do something that is actually really incredible. And it is incredible enough that for many, many years to come, it is going to inspire many people to take the route you described, which is conflating difference with otherness and with inferiority. But I think we can't afford to lose sight of the extraordinary thing we're trying to do and the ways in which we're actually doing it.
Give me one example so I can feel optimistic. I've been feeling really, really despairing.
I mean, look around, just look at this room.
There are a lot of party hats.
This room wouldn't look like this when my parents moved to America, right? I'm still in many rooms that are old and problematic, but I'm also in a lot of rooms that are radically new, and I'm sure all of you are too. Just because, like, this is a very dark moment, but this moment is a reaction to the thing. I mean, Michelle Goldberg, I think, had this great column where she, Michelle Alexander, had this great column where she talked about, we're not the resistance. Trump's movement is the resistance. We're the megatrend. An America that is open and plural and gender equal and tolerant and brings the whole world in, that's the megaforce.
So do you think that this is the last vestiges of the white supremacism?
It's one of the last vestiges. I think there may be a couple more. And by the way, I think the next time it may be someone actually talented, right? So I don't think we're out of the woods. And I actually think next time maybe someone who knows how to read, right? And so we have to be very careful. Like the next time someone wants to deport 11 million people but is literate, that's gonna be a real threat, right? We got so lucky. Never has so much hatred been filtered through so much incompetence, right? And we're not.
Let's just stop for a second on that one.
So in no way do I think we're out of the woods, and I spend a lot of my time thinking about how to act in this moment. However, I do think we got into this moment because a lot of us neglected some of these deep forces in our country. And above all, I would say extreme inequality that frankly many good people are complicit in and didn't do enough to stop. And this one is more complicated and controversial. I think about the stove delivery guy, who I think of as a guy in this 50-year mega trend of a new America, a guy who could go either way, right?
Yeah.
The guys in Charlottesville are not going to go either way. You're not going to go, but there's a bunch of people, millions of people, who I think are still undecided on whether they're down with the new America or not, right? Maybe these are the men who would never do what Brett Kavanaugh probably did, but who maybe feel like he was not treated fairly. These are the white people who, like the stove delivery guy, don't quite like think it's okay to just ask where you're from because you're dark, but who actually love whatever minorities have entered their life. These are complicated, and there are millions of these people. And I actually think in spaces like ours, and I'm generalizing based on your party hat appearance, I think we are very confused about what to do with those people.
What do you think we should do with those people?
I think we have an enormous interest in making sure they feel like they too belong in the new America that's coming. It's not fair, but unfortunately, the people who are winning the megatrend, who have definitely not won yet, but are winning, need to start thinking now about what kind of victors they're going to be.
No gloating.
And it's very hard to do the no gloating thing when you haven't even won yet, when America's literally being run by
So
white
you're
nationalists.
you're that sure that the arc of the moral universe bends
I mean, just
towards
look at
justice?
who's dying and who's being born in America. It's already done. I mean, it's just a question of them growing up, right? They're already here. I mean, you look at the demographics of look at Arizona, right? Maybe the most politically tense state in the country. Why is it the most politically tense? Ooh, interesting. On a map of 50 states, it has the highest spread between the demographics of who's dying and who's being born. This is just math.